These, Hollywood is more than the community plan. The ideas of those who live and work in Hollywood are what make Hollywood, Hollywood. The summit was the Chamber's 18th year holding the event. As for the Hollywood Community Plan, as Councilman Eric Garcetti anticipated, there are in fact several lawsuits that have recently been filed challenging the plan. The Los Angeles Department of Water and Power reaches a milestone in its quest to provide renewable energy. Rasha Goel has more on how Angelenos will be getting more of their electricity from solar power.
This flipping of the ceremonial switch by the LADWP marks the completion of the Adelanto Solar Power Project. It's the largest solar power generating plant developed by any municipal utility in the nation, and it's now delivering renewable energy to Los Angeles.
It will power 3,300 homes with power for their annual consumption.
Located in the Mojave Desert, the 10-megawatt solar farm covers 50 acres of land. The Adelanto Solar Power Project is part of LADWP's power supply transformation, which requires replacing 70% of LADWP's power generation in the next 10 to 15 years. Part of that means transitioning out of coal power. The $48 million solar project was completed by the LADWP's own labor forces.
The success of this project being on time, under budget, in a time when money means so much to our customers is really an outstanding achievement.
LADWP is already on the move with the 8.5 megawatt Pine Tree Solar Project, which is anticipated to start supplying power to Angelenos as early as this November. From Adelanto, I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
The Adelanto Solar Power Project will prevent about 13,000 metric tons of harmful CO2 emissions from being released into the atmosphere each year. That is equivalent to removing 2,500 cars from the road each year. And staying on the topic of cleaning our air, various environmental activists recently staged a rally in support of ending coal use and safeguarding a national park from coal mine expansion. Yana Kay has more.
Holding posters and signs, several environmental groups held a rally at City Hall urging city officials to pass two key environmental resolutions. One resolution would support actions by the Environmental Protection Agency to clean up toxic mercury from coal plants.
This is the first time in U.S. history that the EPA has put out regulations that will regulate carbon pollution as a danger to human health.
Environmental groups also urge city lawmakers to fight the expansion of a coal mine that they say would threaten Utah's tourism and research at Bryce Canyon National Park. They say stopping the expansion would also impact how LA uses energy.
To halt this expansion of the strip mine on public land would be very helpful for the move to get Los Angeles off of coal.
Councilmember Paul Koretz opposes the mine expansion and wants to remove LA's dependence on coal, too.
I and other council members are trying to get us to wean ourselves off coal as quickly as possible and stop doing damage to the environment.
The City Council adopted the EPA Clean Air Resolution and postponed the vote on the Bryce Canyon coal expansion to a later time. I'm Yana Kay for LA This Week.
And protecting our environment means also protecting our wildlife. Gil Reyes tells us about endangered butterflies that are thriving today thanks to preservation efforts at the Los Angeles International Airport.
You're looking at the endangered El Segundo blue butterfly. It feeds and lays its eggs on native Seacliff buckwheat, and right now there's a fair amount of the plant on the west side of LA International Airport, on the coastal dunes. This 200-acre site on the outskirts of LAX is one of 4 main habitats in Southern California where this buckwheat is planted so the butterfly can survive. And since the program began here in 1976, the El Segundo blue butterfly has flourished. Back in the late 1970s, fewer than 500 of these insects existed here. But last year, their population jumped to about 125,000 butterflies. This year's official count isn't in yet, though it is expected to drop by a small fraction.
Doesn't mean that it's a bad year, it's just more of an average year compared to last year, which was a little wetter, so we had more buckwheat flowers, which yield more butterflies, and this year being a little drier, the buckwheat flowers are less, and so it looks like the butterfly numbers are less.
Entomologists say there's no cause for worry, as LAX spends about $250,000 a year to produce enough buckwheat to save the El Segundo butterfly from extinction. Things with wings, great and small, thriving at the airport. At LAX, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
The airport habitat is located along Pershing Drive beneath the LAX flight path. It's open to the public on special occasions only. Well, a garden at a local police station is being made over with the help of some young community members with disabilities. It's a project that's not only transforming the garden, but also lives. A garden at the Topanga Area Community Police Station, badly in need of tender, loving care, is undergoing a transformation into an eco-friendly garden with the help of a new partnership with the Theodore Payne Foundation, a nonprofit native landscape center in Sun Valley.
Some of you are aware the city is having some issues with financing, and so we've come up with some creative ways to take some things on that typically we don't have to take on.
The Topanga Boosters has helped with fundraising. 1-800-LOAN MART, a local finance company, donated a trailer for the project.
Topanga Station sits on 5 to 6 acres of land, and it's going to take quite the effort to do that.
But those doing the hard work under the sun are student workers from the Los Angeles Unified School District's Miller Career and Transition Center. The center provides job training for mild to moderately disabled students ages 14 to 22.
Every one of these young men and young women that's sitting here has gifts, and they have talents, and it's our goal really to get them out into society so they can give back to society. They're an example to society around us on how much they can do when given the right opportunity.
And this opportunity to green this garden is also helping to grow some new friendships. City leaders remember the victims of the Colorado theater shooting. Men and women who work what can be a thankless job receive due recognition, and helicopters take center stage at a recent air show. These stories and more in City Beat. At the first council meeting to convene the week after the movie theater shooting in Aurora, Colorado, LA City Council President Herb Wesson asked a packed house to observe a moment of silence in honor of the victims of the massacre.
So if we could have a moment of silence, everybody bow your head.
24-year-old James Holmes of San Diego is accused of killing a dozen people and injuring over 50 other moviegoers when he allegedly opened fire during a midnight showing of The Dark Knight Rises. Councilmember Richard Alarcon recently honored 8 men and women who often go unrecognized despite their contributions to our society. They are local parole agents and probation officers who work with juvenile and adult offenders.
More than 135,400 people are under community supervision in Los Angeles. That's a daunting number and a very daunting task that must be managed by these folks.
Alarcon honored them in council chambers as part of National Probation, Parole, and Community Supervision Week. Council members Tom LaBonge and Eric Garcetti also honored in council chambers the Hollywood Entertainment District and its cleaning crew for helping to clean up the grimier side of Hollywood.
I get up early in the morning and I drive the streets of my district, and when I come through Hollywood, I see your street cleaners, I see your guys who are cleaning graffiti off the walls, and I see Abel working through the hot sun.
Abel Peterson, who only has one leg and who was formerly homeless, is one of the hardworking employees of Clean Street, a street cleaning company hired by the Hollywood Entertainment District. Crew members power wash streets, remove graffiti, and polish the stars on the Walk of Fame. The American Heroes Air Show was held recently at the Hanson Dam Recreation and Sports Complex in Lakeview Terrace. The event honored men and women in uniform and civilian volunteers who operate helicopters in law enforcement, fire service, public safety, and national defense organizations. The air show included a display of high-tech military and civilian helicopters, as well as parachute stunts.
The kids love crawling around in the helicopter and, playing pilot for a day. So that's the funnest thing to see.
The only downside to the event seems to have been the dusty conditions created by the helicopter blades. The annual summer camp hosted by Council President Herb Wesson gets closer to nature this year, with plans for more kids to be able to attend in the near future. Gil Reyes reports from Camp Wesson.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad.
Greetings from summer camp. And this time there are no bunk beds, no cabins to sleep in. It's just you, a tent, and the great outdoors of the San Fernando Valley.
We are experimenting a new camp experience. We're going to actually sleep out in the wild.
This summer, organizers decided to switch it up a little bit. This year, we're at Hanson Dam Recreation Area, where about 80 inner-city kids are learning how to pitch tents for the very first time. Tents they will live in for 3 days and 2 nights. All the fun supervised by adults, of course. Camp Wesson, now in its 6th summer season, gives at-risk youth from the Councilman's District a chance to enjoy summer camp for free, while giving their parents in South Adams and surrounding areas a much-needed break from the kids.
We get to do a lot of activities. We get to swim, we get to go hiking, we get to go horseback riding.
Councilman Wesson wants to expand his program to include children from outside his district. His office is pitching this idea to the Department of Recreation and Parks. Volunteers, park rangers, even the CHP are here to make sure children are safe and enjoying themselves.
He's been a big supporter of us, and whenever we can help him out and support him, we'll be there for him.
Councilman Wesson also patrols the campgrounds, promising to kick out any troublemakers if needed.
He says he could take us back home anytime, so I'm not going to be bad.
You guys going to behave. Do you like him? Do you like him?
Yeah.
Okay, tell us about it.
He's strict.
Yeah.
And he likes to follow. He likes for us to follow direction and for us to have a good time.
The campers hope to return next summer with possibly more kids from other neighborhoods joining in on the fun. At Camp Wesson, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
In years past, Camp Wesson has taken place at Camp Hollywoodland in Griffith Park. A city-funded program called Project Save Help keeps the program going. A new exhibit at the LA Public Library takes a look at the beginnings of news as entertainment, and it started at least a century ago. Anna Marcos takes a look at the scandal phenomenon.
Where did all those celebrity rags get their taste for scandal? Well, they didn't invent it. A new exhibit called Edited for Publication highlights one of the trailblazers in sensational journalism, the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner.
A lot of his papers were known for depicting scandal and sensationalizing the news.
The Los Angeles Herald-Examiner was created in 1962 when newspaper tycoon William Randolph Hearst merged 2 of his newspapers. But his publications already had a long track record of yellow journalism. Take the 1906 San Francisco earthquake and fire.
It's a scene of the city, and I guess in the smoke-filled sky, people were, they had reported that people saw this cross in the sky. And this is all sort of speculation.
Objectivity and fair reporting, forget about it. These pictures were written on, painted on, changed, sometimes staged entirely, all for the sake of entertainment. And then there's all those photos of suicide jumps, spiced up with arrows to show the fall trajectory, because a plain old picture just wouldn't pop.
By today's standards, these photographs wouldn't pass the integrity test. You don't want to manipulate the news. You want to report the news as it is.
News as it is? Evidently, this viewer doesn't keep up with the scandal rags or the retouched photos on his favorite magazines. Seriously, is anyone's skin really this flawless? Do kids really take a leisurely hike with a snake around their necks? And it's turn-of-the-century photos like this that started it all. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
The exhibit will run through the end of August at the LA Central Library in the History Department. And some other things to do in our city, Shakespeare in the Park, a free evening concert downtown, and a family-friendly event at a local museum. Head on over to the Skirball Cultural Center, where there are different performers ready to entertain you each Saturday and Sunday from now through September. On Saturday, August 4th at noon and again at 2 p.m., you can see Kataran Chamaru perform songs, chants, and dances from the Pacific Islands Micronesian region in Skirball's beautiful outdoor amphitheater. The Skirball Cultural Center is located at 2701 North Sepulveda Boulevard. No reservations needed for the event, which is included with museum admission. For ticket and event information, go to skirball.org. And if you've always wanted to enjoy Shakespeare in the park, now's your chance. The Independent Shakespeare Company is performing all summer long at Griffith Park every week from Thursday to Sunday at 7 p.m. as part of the Griffith Park Free Shakespeare Festival. The troupe will be performing A Midsummer Night's Dream on Sunday, August 5th. The performances are at the site of the old zoo at Griffith Park. There is no physical address, but the nearest ranger station is at 4730 Crystal Springs Drive. If you'd like to catch the Comedy of Errors, that ends Saturday, August 4th. For a detailed schedule, go to independentshakespeare.com. The performances are free, but donations are gratefully accepted. And if you like more free outdoor entertainment, California Plaza's Grand Performances series brings to its stage Struns and Farah and Nayaz on Saturday, August 4th from 8 to 10 p.m. The group blends the folk traditions of India and Iran with trance-inducing electronic beats from LA's own Carmen Rizzo. It's Latin America meets the Middle East. California Plaza is located at 350 South Grand Avenue downtown. You can go to grandperformances.org for a list of other upcoming events. And that's a look at some upcoming things to do. And that's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ellen Chang. A reminder that you could catch us online at lacityview.org. You can also follow and like us on Facebook. We leave you now with more from Camp Wesson. See you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
Some things are pretty much a sure bet. Some things are predictable. And some things you just don't know unless you have ESP, an emergency survival program that prepares you for emergencies or just the plain old unexpected. You can't predict, but you can prepare.
G'day, Troy McCubbin from North Hollywood. You're watching LA City View, Channel 35, our city, our channel.
Perez, Victoria, LaBange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Zion, Wesson, 10 members present, and a quorum, Mr. President.
I have to apologize to our IT people. I didn't inform them that we were live. But anyway, welcome to your Los Angeles City Council. The council meets every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. Comments from the public are welcome. We do have a quorum. So, Mr. Clerk, what is our first order of business?
Approval of the minutes.
LaBange moves, Weezer seconds. Next.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Alarcon moves, Buscaino seconds. That brings us where?
Mr. President, that brings us to the agenda. There has been a request from member to continue item 28 to September 26. Again, item 28 to September 26.
Without objection. Okay, with that said, maybe we should go through the first set of items.
Very good, sir. Items 1 through 9 are items noticed for public hearing. We do have a card on number 8.
Card on 8. Members, items 1 through 8. Any specials? Members, any specials? Okay, let's prepare to vote on that. Madam Clerk, if you'd open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay, let's go to the next section, Mr. Clerk.
Very good, sir. Items 10 through 23 are items for which public hearings have been held. Committee reports for items 17, 18, and 19 have been submitted and distributed for council's consideration.
Okay, members, specials, Mr. Buscaino.
Item 21, please.
Okay, item 21, Joey B. Any other specials? Any other specials? Mr. Parks?
That the committee reports haven't been distributed.
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Could we hold the items that the committee reports have not been distributed? I think he's...
Yeah, which items again are those, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. President, those would be items 17, 18, and 19.
Okay, so why don't we hold those items? When do we anticipate the reports will be in?
The reports are in. We're just waiting for them to be distributed, sir.
Okay, then that's fine. Let's make sure they get distributed. On the remaining items, Madam Clerk, let's prepare to vote. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Mr. Clerk, that brings us where?
Items 24 through 28. There are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay, without objection, those items are before us. Members, Mr. Garcetti.
27, please,
Mr. Garcetti, item 27. Mr. Weezer.
24.
Item 24 for Mr. Weezer. Okay, what about cards?
Any cards, 25 to 28?
Do we have cards on these items?
Yes, no. No, sir, we do not.
Okay, then let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That brings us where?
Mr. President, that takes council back to presentations, items called special or public comment for items not on council's agenda.
Mr. Englander, do you want to go now or do you... Okay, so at this point in time, I'd like to call Mr. Englander to the podium for a presentation.
Colleagues, thank you, Mr. President. Today is bittersweet. It's a dear friend who's done a lot of work on our behalf as an LAPD officer, and it's with great pleasure, though, that we congratulate him, Detective Robert Holcomb, upon his retirement effective August 30th, 2012, from the Los Angeles Police Department after 32 years of decorated service. Detective 3, Robert Holcomb, started his career with the Los Angeles Police Department as a police student worker in 1978 and was sworn in as a police officer on August 25, 1980. Promoted to Police Officer 3 in December 1987, promoted to Detective 1 in January 1990, promoted to Detective 2 in March 1994, promoted to Detective 3 in January 1999, and retiring as officer in charge of Devonshire Area Narcotics Enforcement Detail in August this year. During his distinguished career, Detective Holcomb served with honor, pride, and excellence in the following assignments: Van Nuys Patrol, Jail Division, Wilshire Area, and backup to Van Nuys, working the Hype Car Crash Unit. In 1988, he transferred to the Narcotics Division Valley Bureau, Field Enforcement Section, working the Undercover Buy Team and 5 Valley Bureau investigative squads. Lastly, as the officer in charge of Devonshire Area Narcotics Enforcement Detail for the past 13 years. Detective Holcomb's outstanding work is demonstrated by the numerous commendations he has received and his performance reviews showing exemplary work ethic, expertise, loyalty, and dedication to the citizens of the San Fernando Valley and Los Angeles. He has received several major ribbons. In fact, I've got a long list. I'm not going to read them all. We do have them in the resolution. But a long list going all the way back to the beginning of his career of dedicated ribbons. Detective Holcomb's notable accomplishments include being a lifetime member of the California Narcotics Officers Association, an adjunct instructor for the LAPD Narcotics Group in the area of undercover operations, drug evaluation, report writing, and expert testimony. He helped develop the investigative protocol for investigations involving storefront illegal medical marijuana pot shops. Detective Holcomb resides in Valencia, California with his lovely wife, who's here today, of 28 years, Sharon. 4 children, 6 grandchildren who have supported him in his career throughout the years. So I'd like to congratulate Detective Holcomb. I'd like to put him now into his wife's permanent custody, where she will have a handful. On a personal note, I've worked with Detective Holcomb, and he's worked with our office on numerous assignments, but we started a task force years ago that he led, and where he personally closed down 37 of these illegal pot shops in my district, where we had originally about 80, 85 of them. And he's done a terrific job. He works tirelessly. He comes in on weekends and nights and evenings and holidays. And as a long-time LAPD leader, he has missed many events with his family, holidays, as we all know, and birthdays. The sacrifice that he's made personally to the residents of the city to make this a better place is unparalleled. He's done a terrific job putting his life on the front line to make our community safer. He's a great, great leader, and that's why I started off saying this would be bittersweet. He will be missed. On his way out the last couple months, he's been tapped by the chief's office to go out and do citywide trainings on what he has done to come up with the platform of going after and working with the district attorney's office on these illegal pot shops, which is why we don't have any of those operating in CD12. It's because of this man behind us. But he's also done so much in putting himself on the line undercover in drug buys, working with hardcore thugs and gangbangers, 3 strikers, trying to infiltrate that cartel, and has done a lot to put them behind bars and clean up our streets. So I congratulate Detective Holcomb, and you have deserved this retirement, and you will be missed, and always a great member of our city family, and God bless you very much. Thank you very much.
Mr. Englander, you have a couple of members that would like to speak, so I want to call on Mr. Weezer.
Thank you, Mr. President. And Detective Holcomb, I just wanted to stand up and thank you for your overall service to the City of Los Angeles and for making this city safer, but particularly I wanted to thank you for your work on shutting down the illegal medical marijuana dispensaries. When I heard what that young reserve next to you and yourself did in the Devonshire district, we looked into it, and everybody kept talking about you, pointing to you, that this is the one officer who understands the law, knows the law, and it was refreshing to me to hear from our LAPD officer, about the work you've been doing in this area. And like Councilmember Englander mentioned, the LAPD has called upon you to help others understand how to go about this. In my district, the Northeast Division and Hollenbeck Division look for your assistance, leadership, and guidance, and I want to thank you for your efforts. And again, like Councilmember Englander said, it's very dangerous work, the work you do, to go undercover, deal with people that are irrational, that are criminals, that really don't care about another human being, and for you to be there and do that to protect others, that's really a very important call to duty. So thank you so much for your service. I want to thank your family as well for allowing your dad and your husband to be part of the great LAPD. He makes us proud. Thank you so much.
Mr. Zine. D. Zine.
Thank you.
Mr. President, that would be birthday boy Zine.
Oh, no, I was saving. I was not going to. And what I would suggest that we don't say anything about his birthday.
Mr. Englander, it's a long ride where you're going, a very long ride.
After we honor this great man.
And you don't know how to get there. I want to congratulate you. I've known you for many, many years. I remember seeing you in the field, many activities over the years. I got a question. Are those your children or your grandchildren? Okay, well, with the years of service you've got and that pension coming along the line, it's great to have grandchildren. But I want to wish you well. I see my classmate Jim Dillinger there. We 8/11/68, and a wonderful career. And when you can look at a career for all the years that you've invested, and you can really smile and say, I really enjoyed serving the people of this great city, that shows a career that's very rewarding, and you've obviously done well in that. So to your wife, your family members, and there's a couple other people behind you, if they could be introduced also. Oh, I didn't even see them. They're small. You want you to introduce them all, so they'll get a little TV time. That little daughter, you're blocking her. We can't even see her face. There you go. There she is. So I want to wish you a happy retirement, well-earned, well-deserved, and you've done extremely well. And leading the narcotics squad for that length of time shows your leadership and your supervisory ability. So God bless you and your family into the great future. Congratulations.
Mr. Buscaino.
Thank you so much, Detective. Congratulations on your years of service with the City of Los Angeles. Thank you so much on behalf of the city for putting in your time and effort to protecting the great city and the people who live, work, and visit here. And I know today's about you, but I too want to share some words to your family, like Mr. Zine just did. As a police officer, it was a blessing to come home to a loving family, because oftentimes we deal with, as cops, we deal with a lot of challenging folks who need our help. To know that you had a loving family to go home to, it's quite to know that you do have family to go home to is so important as police officers. So I want to also congratulate your wife and your kids and your grandkids for being that support system at home. Congratulations, and we wish you nothing but the best.
Congratulations, Detective. Mr. Englander, back to you, Mitch.
If you could share some words with us as well, we would all appreciate it. So I'll put you on the spot.
Well, briefly, I always hear quite a bit that the narcotics problem is on, and it never gets any better. But I've seen it. I've worked the street. I came to narcotics in 1988. I've seen it get better. I've seen neighborhoods improve. I've seen neighborhoods where you couldn't drive down the street without being accosted for every type of drug that you wanted to buy, that now that doesn't exist anymore. And quite frankly, it's not just me. It's our entire team. It's our entire officers working together. And with the support of the council and with the support of Council District 12 in particular, we have had a big impact on particularly the storefront marijuana operations that were occurring throughout the San Fernando Valley. So with that, my family is here. This is my granddaughter, Kennedy. It's my son, Ryan. My daughter-in-law, Heather. My grandson, Jackson. My grandson, Walker. And my wife of 28 years, Shannon. Thank you.
Detective.
Thank you, Mr. President. And
wait, no, 1 second. I want to ask the detective a
Absolutely.
question. I'm blessed to be a grandfather of 3, and I find them to just be delightful. But I wanted to get from you and your wife, do you ever wish there was a way you could have skipped over the kids and went straight to the grandkids?
Sometimes.
Mr. Englander.
Well, thank you very much. I just wanted to close and let you know that that he's left us in good hands, and Holcomb has trained and prepared Devonshire. So if anybody's thinking about the fact that he's retired, they can open up a shop in CD12. Forget about it. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Oh, we're going to come on back for photos.
Again, congratulations. Okay, now we'll go back to business here. Mr. Clerk, I believe the items 17, 18, and 19, that those materials have been distributed.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
So, Mr. Parks.
19 special.
Okay, 17 and 19.
Hey, young man. How you doing? Good, thank you.
Can we vote on 18, Mr. Clerk, or do we have to tie all of these together?
No, sir, we can vote on 18.
Okay, so on item 18, let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Okay.
And, Mr. President, pardon me, pursuant to Council Rule 77, item 18 shall be held over 1 week to August 8. Again, that's August 8.
Okay. Why don't we go to general public comment? If somebody could tap Mr. Labange on the shoulder.
Mr. President.
Yes,
sorry,
Mr. Huizar.
We do have an appointment of a general manager here, so if we could take that up as soon as you
then
deem
we'll do that.
Okay.
We'll do that. So if we could go to item 24. In fact, I meant to do that, Mr. Huizar. Thanks for reminding me. So, Mr. Clerk, we're going to go to item 24 because we do have a commission appointment, and after that we'll go to general public comment.
Very good, sir. That brings us to item 24.
Okay, Mr. Huizar, you're up.
Mr. President and colleagues, what's before us is the appointment of Mr. Christopher Espinosa as the permanent general manager of El Pueblo de Los Angeles Historical Monument. And Chris, when I first heard your name as the mayor's appointment to this position, I was really excited about it because I've seen your work. We worked together on several issues, and I think you're going to do a wonderful job here. Your commitment was shown to me about a week ago when I was driving up looking for a parking space at El Pueblo, and I saw this young man running across the street. At first I said, what is this guy doing jaywalking? But then I saw that it was you holding 2 trash bags. You had just finished up cleaning up around the area yourself, and that shows that you're not that you're willing to get your hands dirty to do a great job there. But I think your management skills have been shown in a number of projects that the mayor has entrusted with you with. And as you've heard, we've had a lot of progress in El Pueblo. Working with you in the mayor's office, we were able to get the merchant leases done after 16 years of avoidance by this city, not wanting to deal with that. The Siqueiros mural is moving along. We recently put out a bid, an RFP for the Pico House that we've gotten some responses. The Methodist Church lease is done. The Chinese American Museum lease is coming to council soon. There's lots of activity that we hadn't seen in Apollo for a long time. And we need to pay this attention to this area. As you know, it is a birthplace to the city of Los Angeles, a very important place not only for CD14 or the mayor's office, but for all the city. And I look forward to working with you to continue to make that a place that we could all be proud of, a place that we could increase tourism to. I think there's a lot of interest in people getting there. We have to market it better. We have to keep it safe and clean. And we've come a long way, but certainly there's a lot more work to do. And finally, I know you have some family members here, but I just realized this, that Michael Espinosa, who works for the city, I didn't realize he was your brother. I should have noticed the resemblance a while back. And I want to congratulate your mother. It was just told to me that she is retiring today. So congratulations to you for your many service to the Federal Public Defender's Office. So congratulations to you. Mr. Espinosa, at this time, do you want to share with the council any of your thoughts and anything that's on your mind as we take up questioning from the other council members? Thank you.
Thank you and good morning. My name is Chris Espinosa, and I'm very excited to be before you today. I'm very interested and I cherish El Pueblo. And you're going to see me walking up and down the street, having a very close and good relationship with the merchants. You're going to see me meeting with the churches. I've already started to do so. You're going to see a lot of great improvements that will be for the public's best good. I'm very interested in bringing in new resources and working with Metro and their master plan, because I believe that that's going to be a great working relationship to increase tourism and marketing and the bottom line for the department. The budget is in very good condition right now. We're paying all our costs and off the general fund, and I think that's a great way to be able to work at the department. So I just want you to know that I'm very open. I like to hear ideas. We're going to start a strategic plan process, as well as surveying all the constituent groups around the area, hearing from the people of what they'd like to see at El Pueblo. And so I'm going to work very hard to make sure that it's kept clean, safe, and an enjoyable place for everybody, locals and outside tourists. So I thank you, and if you have any questions, I'm available to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zine. Excuse me. I apologize, Mr. Zine. Would you let me call on the councilman who's the chair of the committee, Richard Alarcon.
First of all, I want to apologize to my colleagues. The committee did not have the opportunity to have Mr. Espinosa before us, but I did meet with him yesterday, and can say that first of all, he's already been on the horse, and he knows he's had the opportunity to demonstrate his abilities already. Let me mention just a couple that I think are very significant in terms of demonstrating his abilities. First of all, he helped in negotiating and executing the Alvera Street merchant concession agreements. He led the project management team on the construction of the Siqueiros Interpretive Center. He contributed to the successful lease negotiations for La Plaza United Methodist Church, and he coordinated with city staff and the Italian American Museum on the rehab of the Italian Hall. He's had a lot of experience with the city, clearly with the CLA's office in particular, where he honed his skills in understanding city government. And let me just say that those 4 projects that I mentioned were not easy tasks. The Alvera Street organization is clearly, over the years, proven to be a very difficult challenge for anybody. And I told Christopher that nothing's going to be perfect, and it never will. But the experience that he's demonstrated has, I think, shown him to be very capable of doing as good as anybody in a very challenging situation. And so I have a strong recommendation for Chris, and believe that you should support him as well. And thank you, Mr. Huizar, for expressing your support for this candidate. So with that, I recommend his approval.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chairman Alarcon. Could I have Mr. Zine, please? Dennis Zine.
Thank you, Mr. Labange. Chris, good morning. How many spots have you held in the city to this point?
Well, 3. I started at the CLA's office, worked there for 4 years in the Budget and Finance Committee. I moved on to the mayor's office as his director of capital projects, and now here I am as the interim general manager of El Pueblo.
Well, Jimmy Blackman gave you high stars.
Thank you.
He says he worked with you at the mayor's office, and great compliments for your ability to carry out the mission. Obviously, you've done extremely well in that. Why the mayor supporting you for this. I support Mr. Huizar in his district in trying to bring about more tourism to the downtown region and being the foundation of the city. That across the street, the Philippi's, 100-plus-year-old establishment, to bring more tourists into that arena. And now with the transit systems that we have that can bring people down here, to make it a destination point. And I think that we're lacking in that aspect of destination. So I wish you well in that endeavor. You've got great reputation for getting things done. And I just know that with your experience, your tenacity, leadership, turn that around, because that's just like when I go to Old Town Pasadena, they took an old town, turned it into a thriving environment, which is what we can do there at that historical part of Los Angeles. So I wish you well in that endeavor. But
thank you, sir. We will do it.
Jimmy Blackman gives you the high marks.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Councilmember Joseph Buscaino.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I too want to rise in support of this appointment, Mr. Espinoza, and thank you for all that you've done and continue to do for the great city. And as we know, Pueblo is such one of our many gems in the city of Los Angeles. And specifically, as Mr. Alarcon mentioned, you worked on the Italian Hall, and the Italian Hall holds a dear place in my heart. Mm-hmm. And I know next month or the middle of this month, the cooperative agreement will come before you. And I because of the Italian Hall and what Mariana Gatto has done, has brought so many people to the Pico House with a number of events in support of the Italian Hall. So I just want to make sure that we work with the Italian Hall, the board, and move forward in helping them with their mission of highlighting the great things the Italian Americans have done and given to this great city. So
I'm meeting with the Italian Hall this Friday to start the cooperative agreement.
Yes.
We've already started pre-demolition activity on the Italian Hall so that we will get the certificate of occupancy.
Great.
We're going to turn it into the Jewel on the corner of Alameda and Cesar Chavez, as it should be.
Thank you.
And we're really excited about that project.
Thank you so much, Mr. Espinoza, and congratulations. Looking forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Mitch Englander.
Christopher, I just want to rise and say thank you for everything that you've been doing for the city. I can't think of anybody better, quite frankly, and you've just done such a great job in everything you do, which is so rare, and it's refreshing because you are always focused. You always bring something to the table. You have a different perspective. You're honest, hardworking, and so a lot of good traits that, you know, when we oftentimes, and yesterday was looking through a lot of commission appointment letters and going through a lot of stuff, and some of it was very aggravating because we rubber stamp for political reasons oftentimes around here. We all know that. Paper accuses of us every day anyway. Put it out there what it is. Oftentimes, whether it's a general manager appointment or whatever that might be, we promote oftentimes the level of incompetence, and it's unique when we find individuals like you that are just phenomenal people that work hard, that are smart, and so I know you're going to do well. That's without a doubt. You've got challenges ahead of you.
That's for sure.
And that's for sure. And but I don't know anybody else that can really step up to the task for this as much as you. So I just wanted to say thank you for being part of the city family all these years, and look forward to continue working with you.
It's very nice of you, Councilman, and I'm going to work really hard.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Huizar.
Thank you. And with that, colleagues, I ask for your support. I believe we have to make a motion since there was no motion from committee. There's a second by Mr. Englander, Alarcon as chair. There's a third, there's a fourth. But last but not least, you know, colleagues, one of the greatest things that we've done at El Pueblo these last few years is that we've made El Pueblo self-sufficient. In the past, it's been depending upon the city for general fund dollars that's competing with all other services for the city. But now with the merchant leases, it's able to fund itself. And we will work with the new general manager to continue doing that and find new revenue sources so that there's a lot of potential there. And we certainly don't want to go back to the days when we were depending on the general fund for its operations. And I do owe an apology to Councilmember Buscaino. With all the successes we had just mentioned, I omitted the Italian Hall. But I do want to thank Mr. Parks. When we were in Budget and Finance Committee, we allocated some money for the planning and construction and renovations of that Italian Hall, and so that's on its way. It's taking a little longer than we would all like, but it's coming. But we are waiting for a great Italian American to get on council to help celebrate with us on that. So thank you so much. There's been a motion and a second, Mr. Clerk and Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we call for the vote, I want you to introduce some very special people who are right there on that front row right now.
Thank you. I have my mom, Anita Espinosa, and my brother Michael Espinosa.
Very special. Good. And I'm so proud of you. All I want is you have a bike rental facility somewhere near the property
Yes,
so people
sir.
can enjoy Los Angeles.
Yes, sir.
You're a great man. This is going to be a great vote. Mr. Clerk, let's
Thank
open
you.
the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
13 ayes.
Mr. President, might I add the EERC voted to approve the mayor's salary recommendation of $150,507 for Mr. Espinosa as general manager of El Pueblo.
Thank you very much. The next item I want to call item number 8. We have one card in support, but that's all we got. Let's open up to item 8, please, if you could read that into the record. For the record, he supports it. Could you call it item 8?
Very good. Item 8, sir.
Okay, item 8 is before us. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Thank you very much. Now I'd like to have general public comment at this time, members. And if we could call on Mark Ware, Deborah Burton, and Richard Damara. Come on up for public comment. Thank you.
Great morning, gentlemen and ladies. My name is Mark Ware, and I and my constituents are here on behalf of the Los Angeles Community Action Network. Yesterday, LA Can't gained the ears and minds of an intellectual group of important figures in the community of Los Angeles. The reason we obtained this attention was because they recognized the advantages in supporting LA Can't promoting Assembly Bill 828. In supporting Assembly Bill 828, there is expected future earnings of $500 million annually to the state of California. I am talking about the funds allocated by the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. Through the years, California has not opted out of a ban that denies benefits to women with a prior history of drug-related crimes. Many of these women have children and are denied the proper nutrition and supplements to sustain a positive and healthy lifestyle. Many families, as well as the business community, suffer greatly by being denied this necessary funding to sustain families as well as our economy. The poor, middle class, and rich communities must be given the opportunity to access this desperately needed funding to sufficiently develop this state as needed. The business and political leaders in the state of California must decide to bring our federal tax dollars back home where they belong. As we look across this country, many states have opted out of this ban, and the funding has given the economies of a much-needed boost. As California improves its infrastructure, such as developing a high-speed rail system across its territory and building a much-needed state-of-the-art sports complex in downtown Los Angeles, we need to purge every available resource to one day be a model state of economic development throughout the world. We now hope to gain the support of the City Council in helping California regain its economic stability. And please understand that our communities of Caucasian descent and our communities of color, which consist of Latino, African American, and Asian descent, need you to critically evaluate this subject and direct interest toward California's need of financial stability and security for us all.
Thank you very much. The next speaker, please.
Good morning. My name is Deborah Burton. I am a member of the Los Angeles Community Action Network. The status of AB 828, it was introduced as a 2-year bill in 2010. The bill is in the suspense files of the Senate Appropriation Committee, even though it passed the Assembly bill last year. It must get out of the suspension by August the 17th to get a vote in the Senate. What we're asking our City Council members to do is to write a letter of support for AB 828 for the suspended appropriation bill today. Call your members and tell them why you support AB 828. It's good for everybody. It's good for folks who are coming to the community. It's good for families, and it's good for the economy. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have a Ricardo Damara, And there's another name written on the card as well, a Karima. Okay, if I could get Michael Carrion. I think this is Francisco Rivera. And is Daniel Garcia here? Okay, then Daniel Garcia. Yes.
Okay, yesterday I was here speaking on weed abatement. And Mr. Reyes says, officers, can you be quiet back here, please? On a
Yes,
weed
can we
abatement.
please give him some quiet? Hold his time. We could please have quiet in the chambers. Quiet in the chambers. Yes, Mr. Carrion.
And I was told that it was being done. It was already done by Mr. Reyes. This is the weeds in Mr. Reyes' district, where Mr. Reyes says there's hypodermic needles, syringes, and he didn't clean it. This is where he said was already done. When I left here, I told them I was going to take pictures. They were barely doing it. And the only reason it got done, because I was here complaining about it so much. Who's the liar now? This is disgusting when you city councilmen don't clean your property, and yet the city attorney goes after private owners and says that your property is in REAP because you don't clean it, and this is your property. My son is 6 feet tall. Look at the weeds in your district. Shame on you. This is despicable that you allow your property to get to this point. I asked to speak to my councilman. He was too busy. So I'm going to show you one in his district that he said was already being dealt with. And in 3 weeks, consecutive weeks, they were going to do it, and they were going to do it. I've got emails here from his office. Nowhere did they say they were going to do it. Nowhere did they say they had a scheduled date. And he was aware of it. They said they were going to do this Thursday 3 weeks ago, Thursday 2 weeks ago, Thursday last week. Still not done. The people in your office don't know what they're doing. I got off the phone 5 minutes ago with Green and Clean. And you know what she told me? Mr. Carrion, it'll be done tomorrow. Why don't you just call me? I'll take care of it. I expect my councilman, my representative's office to do something. All they did was BS me and tell me, oh, it's going to be done Thursday, it's going to be done Thursday. It's still not done.
Thank you.
Shame on you guys.
Thank you. Mr. Weezer, I see your name on the queue. Was it on this, or maybe it was the last item?
I want to say hello to my constituent, Mr. Carrion.
Oh, okay. Again, Don Francisco is here. Where's Daniel? Daniel Garcia. Daniel, come on up, Daniel. Start coming up. And Bill Huey, followed by Bill Huey. Yes, Don Francisco.
Yeah. Good morning. Dear Council President Herb Wesson Jr., dear members of the City Council, I just want to take this opportunity to say that today is a historical day for the Salvadoran and Central American community regarding the official recognition of the Salvadoran Community Corridor as a process of 2 years. And in the eve of the celebrations of the Day of the Salvadoran, proclaimed by the City of Los Angeles, the State of California, and also recognized as a federal national holiday, I should say, day, recognized it nationally. And congratulations, to the Council President Tempore Ed Reyes, and Council Member Bernard Parks for, presenting this motion. And also I want to congratulate, Oscar Dominguez, for his initiative, and his wife that has been, she has been bearing, with him all this effort, and all the members, associated with the Salvadoran Community Corridor. Finally, I want to mention that the next recognition, will be the Central American Cultural District that is coming. And, finally, we're so happy in the Central American community that finally, we are taking into account.
Dan Francisco.
Yeah.
You should have signed, which just brought to my attention, to speak on item 27. This is
right.
general public comment.
Yes, you say. I know, Council President. I just wanted to make it as a public comment because there will be a series of speakers.
I understand.
Yeah. And I am done. And anyway, I'm done. Thank you so much.
All right. Daniel, followed by Bill Huey, followed by David Popolek. Welcome, Mr. Garcia.
Thank you, Council, and good morning to everybody. My name is Daniel Garcia. I'm a system change advocate for the area of East LA in San Diego. I work for the people with disability in El Reyes and Jose Rizal district area. It occurred to me that to ask the city council and maybe the housing department, if you could give me a list of affordable and accessible housing in district of Jose Rizal and El Reyes, I'd be happy to let know my community that I work for and let them know that the council are working on it. If you don't have any information whatsoever to give me, then I'm going to come back again and say to you that I have not received anything from you. So please give me information so I can distribute it to my people in Israel and take it in Vegas, Boyle Heights area, and Lincoln Heights area. Thank you very much, and I hope I can get my information.
Thank you, Daniel, and it's always good to see you. So if we could get Bill Huey, David Popolek, and Matt Dowd.
Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, members of the LA City Council. My name is Bill Huey. I'm the president of Fair Housing Coalition, fairhousingcoalition.com. We believe in equality under the law for landlords and renters. I'm here regarding one of my members, a gentleman named Luis Sanchez, who was providing affordable housing for poor people. The city comes along, they put him in REAP. He fills out an application to get the REAP money because they have over $20,000 of his rent. And he wanted to fix the building. They wouldn't give him the money. So he lost the building. It got foreclosed. And then he said, look, that was my rent money. I used to own that building. And the housing department said, yeah, but you don't own it anymore, so it's not your money. He was the legal owner at that time. So the city should return him that money. Now, what I have found out from doing some research, this is a policy of the LHD. Once they bankrupt a landlord, whatever money's in the REAP account, the city keeps it. That is thievery. If anyone in private industry did that, they go to prison. The LHD is a criminal operation. They make up the policies, which are the equivalent of law, and they don't have that authority. I would like to work with whatever councilman's this district is. It's 2000 and 2002 to 2008 South 8th Avenue. This man has been trying to get his money for 3 years, and they keep telling him it's not your building, so the rent is no longer yours. He was the owner at the time. This is criminal what the city's doing, and we're getting testimony. We're exposing this. And, you know, this is one of the reasons why L.A. is now the homeless capital of America. Landlords are being bullied by the LHD, which is a predatory agency which does not give property owners due process of law. People are taking their investment dollars out of L.A. A lot of these landlords own other business, and they're leaving L.A. That's why jobs are leaving L.A. That's why affordable housing. I would like to talk to the councilman for this area, 2002 South 8th Avenue, and see if we can get this man his money. That's his money, and he's entitled to it. Thank you very much.
Okay, David, followed by Matt Dowd, and then followed by Rabina Torosin, I think it is. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is David Poplik. I'm here on behalf of medical marijuana dispensaries.
Actually, I don't know quite if I should go much further after hearing the public comment after the retiring Devonshire police officer. It seems that the general comment is that dispensaries are not wanted. I may not even need to do this, but I'm going to go with it anyways. First of all, I think there's about 1,200 operating dispensaries in the city of Los Angeles. Right now, 762 of them are supposedly legal. The rest are illegal. There's about 460 square miles in the city of Los Angeles. I think if we put one shop per square mile, we would have about 460 legal marijuana shops. Those would be policed by the owner, because anybody else within their square mile would definitely be wanted to be removed by that person. Other than that, I've only heard that there's going to be about 150 shops. At the moment, there's almost 1,200 shops actually capable of operating. If you turned around and put out about 150 dispensaries, that would give them 10 times as many patients coming there, which would be overwhelming, be kind of a nuisance to not only the shop, but to the neighborhoods for which they're in. I believe that this can actually be done, and there's a way to create a budget for it. I just don't have the time to go through a lot of this. So I'd actually like to find out if there is somebody in City Council that does believe in dispensaries that I might be able to talk to come up with some sort of solution to this. I'm in Mr. Reyes's district, but I'm willing to talk to anybody. Is there some way that I can talk to one of the council members, or a way to find out how I can help this problem?
Mr. Gardea, could you have a chat with David? He'd like to speak to somebody from Mr. Reyes's district. Could you go chat with him at the side of the ropes so you could speak with the chief of staff?
I thank you all very much, and have a good day.
Okay, thank you. Matt Dowd, followed by Rabina Torosin. Mr. Dowd.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, you should have shut down the agenda items straight away, because you would have for us and anyone else. Listen, I came out of court yesterday. LAPD is still hounding me. We got our jury trial for damages coming up end of October. I came down here to try and talk about these. These are the umbrella things, remember, and all that. And so I came here to try and talk about it one day, and I'm like fully compliant with everything. And you've got that Hollywood thing of Eric Garcetti's, a packed house. You've had all the public comments. You're all voting yes. It's all going through. We've all been around long enough to know how that works. And they have to drag me out because I got fresh information, but you'd rather have the public wait for like an hour. So, I timed it good today, too, because if you had public comment before the El Pueblo thing, I was still way down on the freeway, and I wouldn't have made it here. So, all the gas bagging, thank you, you get to listen to Matt Dowd. Anyway, the umbrella one, the court agreed with Herb Wesson, dismissed outright if I pled to the other guitar case thing, so I took that. Then there's another one for vending. I'm taking donations now for my fight. I'm Can Fight City Hall. Dismissed summarily. See, and here's what Herb Wesson said about it, too. I've got it here.
Okay, but you know what? I don't always agree with you, but I do think the guitar case thing is kind of ridiculous. The poster, the standing poster you had of an actress, I think is ridiculous. So, anyway, Armanek.
So, $260 fine. That's what I got for I copped the plea to save us all going through all, it's all not guilties from there. So, the whole point is we're going to jury, and these are the things now, that these are real things that are going to get shown that the city's still doing.
Thank you, and I will be chatting with Bill about the possibility of making some changes where it relates to those things, because I did agree with you on that. Yes.
Hi, my name is Rabina Tarosian. I'm a house landlord in North Hollywood. I want to say that I was wrongly accused of being in REAP. Mrs. Arroyo Babazadeh told me that he's able to help me out, that I was not supposed to be in REAP. However, when I start calling her, no answers. When I try to get a hold of her assistants, obviously no answers. I've been working on this for past year. I even tried to speak to Congressman Krikorian, obviously they are not able to help me out. Now I'm being charged on a criminal manners because of what they have done, and city attorneys trying to criminally charge me. I'd like to know who I should talk to, who could help me out with all this confusion that it's happening. Obviously, Mrs. Babazadeh is not able to do anything. She's not even wanting to answer the phone calls.
Okay, if you would go to the side ropes, Mr. Krikorian will chat with you. Okay, Mr. Clerk, that ends the general public comment portion of today's council meeting, and it's my understanding that Mr. Buscaino we need to vote to reconsider item 16 for a technical change. So if we could open the roll on reconsideration for item 16, let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Okay, do you have your amendment, or have you your clarification?
Yes, Mr. President,
language?
if I may, thank you. I'd like to request to amend the document's fiscal impact statement of $14,975,000 to reflect the correct and approved budget of $16,400,000.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we will vote on that item again. So on item 16, Madam Clerk, if you would please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Thank you. Now what I'm going to do, Mr. Clerk, because this is a very important day, historic day for some, I'm going to call on Mr. Garcetti, who has had discussions with Council Member Reyes where it relates to item 27. Did we have any cards on item 27? I do not believe. Wait, did we? We already had the hearing. Is that what it is? Okay, we do. So, Mr. Garcetti, why don't you start it off? Okay. Then we do have people that are here to speak to it. In the interest of time, I'm going to give all of the people a minute.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. And it is with great pride that I rise on behalf of Mr. Reyes today, but I think with pride for an entire community and for this entire city today, to ask this council to approve the naming of Vermont from 11th Street to Adams as the El Salvador Community Corridor. The original boundaries were originally exclusively in the 1st District until redistricting, and now this is shared between Council Districts 1 and Council District 8 with Mr. Parks, who I know has been very supportive of this as well, and a good friend of the Salvadoran community. Mr. Reyes has worked very hard on this with his staff, Jose Gardea, his Chief of Staff. Thank you for your good work on this as well. And those of us who have worked closely with the Salvadoran community, who have made San Salvador a sister city, who have traveled there during elections and to work on law enforcement and youth intervention issues, who have promoted trade, but who know that Los Angeles is a great town because it's a great Salvadorian town. It has been made strong by a community that came here under some of the most pressing and most difficult conditions imaginable. Conditions that I think all of us relate to when we talk about our own families, that people come to Los Angeles fleeing at times of need, but what they find here is fertile ground. And for the Salvadoran community, that fertile ground was made strong by the work of their own hands, by the dreams that they brought from their own country, by the closeness of community and family, by the success of Salvadorians in business, in government, in culture, in commerce, in all of those fields. The Salvadoran community today has gone through the city's process, which included gathering petitions in order to show the widespread support for this designation. There are an estimated 500,000 Salvadorians living in Los Angeles, the large majority of which live around the Pico Union community, but I don't think there's a single district where you can't find many, many Salvadorians. In my district, in Council District 13, probably half of the Latino community, which is about 60% of the district, are Central American, of which the great majority of those are Salvadorian. And it was the office of Councilmember Reyes who worked hard on this, are in complete support. They regret that Mr. Reyes cannot be here today, but he is here because his work is here, and the work of his staff and of Jose Gardea and all of the great people working under Mr. Reyes. So I rise in complete support. Tengo mucho orgullo hoy con la comunidad a reconocer este corredor salvadoreño en la ciudad de Los Ángeles. Felicidades. Congratulations to the community, and we ask for your aye vote. Gracias.
And Mr. Garcetti, Mr. Reyes would be here, but he's in Sacramento with our CLA at this time. Is Captain Nieto still here? So, Cap, I'm going to call you to come up, followed by Raul Claros and I think Yar Katan. Captain, good to see you.
Good to see you, sir, and council people, good morning. I just want to say on behalf of Olympic Station, the El Salvadorian community has been an integral part of our station since its opening 3.5 years ago. So I would just make it quick, support that you do recognize the corridor, and we look for continued cooperation and partnership with our El Salvadorian neighbors. Thank you.
Raul, and where's Yar Katan, followed by Lizette Rivera. Raul, good to see you.
Good to see you, sir. Thank you, Mr. President, Councilmember Garcetti, for those words. Just want to inform the city of LA what this means. For a long time, we have gone around and worked very hard in the city of Los Angeles, came over here from a civil war, and now have been able to have our Generation X, first American-born kids here. And what this means now is that we have a landmark, something to point to, something to educate our kids with, that we're more than just gang members or any type of negativity that might come out on the media. That we're small business owners, that we're teachers, that we're organizers, that we're activists. And now we have something to share with the rest of the city of Los Angeles and the state of California. I worked very diligently during my time in the 48th Assembly District as the project coordinator for ACR 126. So I'm very grateful to Councilmember Parks and Perry for your committee and your working committee to get this passed, and also to the rest of the city council members.
Thank you.
I ask you for your aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Raul. Yar Katan, Lizette Rivera. Lizette, are you here? Please come.
Good morning, Councilman.
Manuel Espinoza. Yes, sir.
Yes, good morning, President Wesson, and special good morning to my council member, Jan Perry. My name is Yair Gaitan. I am the Vice President of Temple, Knesset Israel, a local Jewish synagogue just north of the proposed Salvadorian Community Corridor on Vermont Avenue. As few people are aware, we have an active Salvadorian group within our congregation comprising some of the most wonderful, decent, and spiritual people I know. The Jewish and Salvadoran people have a history of friendship, cooperation going back many decades, and I'm happily letting you know of the full and unconditional support for the Salvadorian Community Corridor from Temple, Knesset Israel of Hollywood. One of the largest Salvadorian populations in the U.S. is with the similar. I'm sorry. I'm sure you are aware that Los Angeles has one of the largest Salvadorian populations in the U.S. with other similar areas such as neighborhood designations. It's expected to bring improved cultural awareness, expanded services, economic development, and investment projects to the area so needed in these difficult economic times, as well as instill a greater sense of community, pride, and easily. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Katan. Okay, Lizette Rivera. Manuel Espinoza. Rihanna Umana, and if I call your name, could you just get behind the speaker? So if those other two people would please come forward. Ms. Rivera, welcome.
Good morning. I'm just here to support El Salvador Community Corridor. My name is Lisette Rivera.
Wonderful. Manuel, followed by Rihanna, followed by Corinne Sandoval.
Yes, good morning, City Council. My name is Manuel Espinosa. I work within the Byzantine Latino Quarter District. I am building their website and do public relations within the community. I also work with Leonardo Magana, who's an active leader in the community as well in the BLQ. And we just want to say that we're in support of any organization that is active in the community doing, crime reduction and helping small businesses facilitate education, financial resources, and I think Oscar Dominguez is doing a fantastic job They certainly are an integral part of our community, and they deserve to be recognized here in the Pico, Vermont, and the El Salvador corridor. I'm very happy to give my endorsement and wish them a lot of luck. Thank you.
Thank you. Please come forward.
My name is Reina Umaña. I'm a registered nurse, and I've been helping the El Salvador corridor with events and activities, trying to keep our society, our community occupied with arts and culture and encourage our culture here in Los Angeles, California. So yes, I support El Salvador corridor.
Thank you for coming. Corrine Sandoval, Leonardo Magano, and Sonia Saldivar.
Yeah, hi, good morning, everybody. My name is Karin Sandoval. I represent Neighborhood Watch Olympic Station. I come in for support as Correo Salvadoreño. These people is great because I had 3.5 years in the station. I work together. I'm very happy that this distinction is for everybody Salvadoreños. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Good morning. My name is Leonardo Magana. I've been a restaurant owner for the last 25 years, and I'm here with the support of Salvadorian Community Corridor. And we are working hard for this community to be recognized. So please recognize the Salvadoran Community Corridor. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Ms. Aldivar, followed by Oscar Dominguez, followed by Jerry Martinez.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Sonia Saldivar. I came to this country in 1980, escaping from a civil war in my country, El Salvador. I became a business owner in 1985, and I am very proud to be one of the vice presidents of El Salvador Community Corridor. This is a project that I started 5 years ago, but we've been functioning as an organization for the last 3.5 years, working with the school, business owners, police department, and the community. Thank you on behalf of all those brothers and sisters that make this dream come true.
Thank you. Oscar?
Hello, council's members. My name is Oscar. I am the son of the founder of Oscar Dominguez, and I just want to I wanted to share a quote with you of Marcus Garvey, who is a black nationalism during the 20th century. And I saw this in my youth history class, and I wanted to share with you guys. And he said that a people without the knowledge of their past history, origins, and country is like saying a tree without roots. So I just want to say that I want to share my roots with my people and with the Americans of this beautiful country, and I would love for this movement to be passed. And we've all who has participated in this thing, we have done it from the heart. And I am really proud to say that I am an American, and at the same time Salvadorian and Mexican. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well said, young man. Well said. Okay, Jerry Martinez, followed by Karen Fremkes-Wolf and Oscar Dominguez. I have another card unless it's your dad. Okay, well then, Dad, you're the third man up. Okay.
Morning, I'm Jerry Martinez. I'm here to support the Salvadorian Community Corridor. Thank you, Garcetti, for your words, and thank you, Reyes, and all the councilmen and councilwomen here. I'm representing the MPI movement. It's a Movimiento Político Independiente Salvadoreños, and we support this project. Thank you very much. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Ms. Wolf, followed by Oscar Dominguez, followed by Elizabeth Covera.
Good morning. I'm here to talk about Café Cultural, which is the cultural space within the Salvadoran corridor. I was asked to curate art exhibitions there and to make sure that it was a place that was respected all over the Los Angeles and that it drew from the best, most respected artists in Los Angeles. And so far we have had 4 exhibitions, well attended by people from the Salvadoran corridor and the rest of Los Angeles as well, in particular Los Angeles Art Association, and individuals that have terrific reputations as artists in Los Angeles. it's been a space for visual art, music, poetry, and we've had poetry readings in both Spanish and English mixed, and everyone enjoys them tremendously, and that's enough.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Good morning, President and City Council members. I really want to thank, first of all, the office of Councilmember Reyes with Jose Gardea here, and also Councilmember Bernard Park, who made this also something very unique for us and be part of the history. And I want to recognize all of you guys for making this day a special day, and also to the team. The team that is here is the one that actually supports. Because of them, we're here. And as you know, we're the second largest Latino community in Los Angeles. And for the first time, we're going to have a place where we can show the world who we really are. So thank you very much. Hopefully you guys can join us as we move forward to beautify LA with the Salvadorian community culture. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Elizabeth, followed by Miguel Medina, Marie Maldonado.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Guevara. Yes, I was saying something. 20 years ago, I started working my husband as a security guard in Koreatown. Since then, he had a dream of working with his own business. Today, he has our business named Simon Security Service Patrol Inc., with approximately 150 people working with him and the Salvadorian. It's approximately 85% working in the Koreatown businesses. We are proud to be Salvadorian, continue with this country economy, and just is only say thank you everyone for your time and your support to the El Salvador Community Corridor and all the Salvadorian people. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Miguel Medina, Marie Maldonado. I think it's Sonia Molina. And Gilbert Portillo. Just identify yourself, miss. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Sonia Molina, and I just wanted to be part of today's festivities because I've been in this country for about 35 years. I came from El Salvador right after the war, and I've been part of many activities in organizations that have helped the Salvadorian community. I want to thank all of you for helping this project, and I brought my daughter, who's 18 years old, because I want her to also be proud of El Salvador. And now we're going to have a place where we can say, you know, this is El Salvador, this is our culture, these are our people. We are hard workers, you know, we are getting educated, and we are part of the community. So thank you so much.
No, thank you. If you please identify yourself.
Thank you, Mr. President. For the record, it's Marco Maldonado.
Okay, I apologize. I should have apologized in advance, Marco. Because of that, I'm going to give you 2 extra seconds.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Garcetti, for the kind words that you mentioned about the Salvadorian community. It's appreciated. I want to take this opportunity to thank the President and all the city councils in support of the community corridor of El Salvador. As a father, as an immigrant of El Salvador, I'll be proud to take my children to a corridor of Salvadorian where I can take them to entertain them with great pupusas, I'm sure, and absorb the Salvadorian culture. Thank you very much for giving us this opportunity. Thank you.
Marco, I'm searching for the perfect pupusa.
Good morning, all of you.
Okay, so maybe somebody can turn me on to it. Yes, sir.
Good morning, all of you. Mr. President, City Council members, thank you for all this, what you did for us, for the Salvadorian. And we are very happy today because this is a historical day for all the Salvadorian who are in Los Angeles, because this is a great day. I am very happy. Thank you for all the work you done it. I am a businessman. I work very hard for giving back to everything what the city given to us. That because we are here, celebrate this day. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And if you could state your name, sir. Sir. If you could please state your name for the record.
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Gilbert Portillo.
All right, Gilbert. All righty. Mr. Parks.
Thank you very much. I want to thank Oscar and the El Salvadorian community for coming today, and also want to apologize for the length of time it's taken for this action. I think the council took a position back in 2010 to support the state legislation, but it's drifted back and forth between committees, and we're pleased that we're able to get it out at this time. And so I think it's important as a landmark, and also the fact that it's a staple as you go through your annual parade and bring more emphasis to the community. And even those El Salvadorians in the 8th District, as far south as Florence, and further south as Central Avenue and a variety of places in the 8th District, they're supportive of having this landmark. So thank you for your diligence and your ability to stick with this, because without Oscar and your ability to come to us and let us know that we had dropped the ball, we would still have this in committee. So thank you. Certainly I'd ask colleagues for an aye vote.
Mr. Labange.
Thank you. On behalf of the sister cities of Los Angeles, we thank San Salvador and give San Salvador, our sister city. I know they're happy. And we see our great police captain. I just want to let everybody know, Olympic Boulevard wasn't always Olympic Boulevard. Olympic Boulevard was 10th Street. There's 9th, and you're on 11th right now. And the reason they named it Olympic Boulevard, you know why, Joe? In 1932, it was a 10th Olympiad in the modern era. So they called Olympic Boulevard 10th Street, Olympic Boulevard. So now it's the 30th Olympic for London. And I just could say that you're very prepared to be stewards of Vermont Avenue. Congratulations and good wishes. Good job, Mr. Reyes, Mr. Garcetti, and Mr. Parks.
Mr. Huizar.
Thank you, Mr. President. I, too, want to thank the El Salvadoran Community Corridor team for making this happen. Oscar Dominguez, Raul Claros. It's great to see the former captain of Hollenbach Division in Boa Heights here now at Olympic Station. Thanks for your good work. And this is exciting because we know how important it is to recognize a number of people who come to this country looking for a better life and fleeing a revolution for many people from El Salvador. And we, as immigrants, sometimes think we're visiting this great country, but as we have children here, as they have children, as we see more of our culture in our restaurants and music all around us, esta casa, este país, es nuestro país, es nuestra casa. And seeing this corridor go up is recognition of that. And there's no doubt that the Salvadoran community has arrived in Los Angeles. You are everywhere. You are professionals, you're police officers, you're teachers, you're community activists, you're dentists like Ms. Molina, and you are part of the fabric of this great country. And to recognize that this is our casa by doing something like this is so, so important. Congratulations, and let's keep working together to make Los Angeles one of the most successful and diverse cities in this great country. Thank you so much.
Okay. The moment that you've been waiting for. And in the event that you get the votes needed, I will give you permission to stand and cheer. Madam Clerk, let's prepare to vote on this item. Would you please open the roll? Drum roll, please. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Mr. Buscaino.
Pupusas for everyone. I prefer chicken. And Gabby Medina's here, my staffer. Her mom makes the best pupusas in the city of Los Angeles.
Oh, wait a minute, Joe. I'm looking for the perfect one. Okay, Gabby's mom. I'll take a chicken myself. Okay, in fact, Mr. Joey B., since Mr. Parks is out getting congratulated, well-deserved, I think you requested item, was it 21?
21, yes, sir.
Let's move, Mr. Clerk, to item 21.
Item 21, called special by Councilmember Buscaino, and cards.
Can you take cards first?
Okay, on item 21, if we could get Vanessa Perry, Betsy Cheek, Dan Hoffman. If you guys could please clear the center aisle. I've got other folk coming up to speak. Raul, give me a pass so I can get other speakers up here. Give me a path. I see, I think this is Miss Perry or Miss Cheek bravely coming like a football running back going in and out. So who wants to go for Miss Perry? Yes.
I am the assistant for the San Pedro Historic Waterfront District, and I'm here on behalf of Eric Eisenberg, the board president of the district. We're in support of Councilman Joe Buscaino's parking motion. And there are about 500 local businesses that this affects. The turnover of parking spaces is essential for their customers, and at the end of the day, it's about commerce. And the change in the parking meters will be good for business in San Pedro and Wilmington. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, please come forward.
Hi, I'm Betsy Cheek. I'm the President CEO of the San Pedro Chamber of Commerce. First of all, I just want to say it's a good day to be in the council chambers. What a wonderful morning it's been. I'm here to thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak on behalf of Councilman the camera threw me, Joe. Councilman Buscaino's motion. San Pedro Chamber of Commerce does, as Ms. Perry said, represent approximately 500 businesses. And Eric Eisenberg, who is president of our PBID, was unable to attend due to a conflict of the PBID meeting. The councilman's changes for parking meters in the parking meter zones relative to removing underutilized parking meters, changing the regulations, and upgrading the meters is essential for all of us. Downtown businesses are negatively impacted by the current meters, and people have options to go elsewhere.
Thank you. Mr. Huffman.
Mr. President, council members, thank you for this opportunity. Before I say anything else, I've got to take a moment to thank our Councilman Joe Buscaino for a fantastic job. Honestly, I didn't think this would get here this far. To imagine that it's in 6 months is just amazing. But I want to support the motion before you. I want to thank the Transportation Committee for supporting this motion unanimously, or bringing it before you. We're going to remove 105 meters in Wilmington with really a minimal usage or a minimum impact. Extend meters to 2-hour limits, which does a couple of things. Number one, it allows people for a professional appointment to have enough time to go in, see the doctor, the dentist, come back out and find out they don't have a ticket. And on the other hand, having a limit of 2 hours promotes turnover of the parking meters and helps support business. To replace the old meters, for a couple and other great reasons, it's customer friendly and it's more efficient in terms of operations. They hold more coins. It doesn't take as much time. Lastly, to promote business, in turn, that creates jobs and to increase tax revenue. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Buscaino.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, when I first took office, the small business community in my district came to me and asked me for help on addressing the lack of visitors to the downtown districts of San Pedro and Wilmington. The very first motion I introduced asked the city's Department of Transportation to include the 15th district into the demand-based parking meter program, as well as removing some of the most underutilized meters. With the loss of the CRA, as I'm sure many of you have experienced in your district, it's become much more difficult to find tools to revitalize our communities. The Transportation Committee heard this several times, and DOT, along with the CAO, both provided a recommendation before you. They found the economic impact of removing these meters as compared to doing nothing and keeping the meters is $45,000 per year over a 7-year period, or less than 1/10 of 1%. Again, that's less than 1/10 of 1% of the parking revenue fund. We are able to invest in improving the parking situation in downtown districts of both San Pedro and Wilmington, and people, as Betsy indicated, have other alternatives for their shopping. They can go to a shopping mall in Torrance or Long Beach where parking is free, is completely free. I'd like to add that the CAO found no general impact of this recommendation. This plan is good for small businesses, for visitors to San Pedro and Wilmington, and will give much needed boost to our local economies, which will help raise a tax base in these specific areas. I'd like to thank the Department of Transportation, specifically General Manager Jaime de la Vega and Dan Mitchell is here before us, Mr. Santana's office for their quick and responsive work on this issue, and colleagues, I respectfully ask for an aye vote. Thank you.
Okay, there are no speakers in the queue. Madam Clerk, let's prepare to vote. Let's open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Okay, that item passes. Where's Mr. Buscaino and where's Mr. Garcetti? You go. Could somebody please get Mr. Garcetti? Sergeants, did we locate? Okay, we'll just, and now I'm looking for Mr. Parks. Yeah, I want him right now. Sergeant Johnson, would you please bring Mr. Garcetti? Mr. Alarcon says if they're eating pupusas, they better bring some inside. I need him now. You're supposed to go just grab him and pick him up and bring him into the chambers. Business has come to a close as we await the arrival of Council Member Eric Garcetti. Well, no, now Mr. Parks is here, so we can go to Mr. Parks's items. So, Mr. Parks, we can go to item 17.
Yes, could we have the city staff come up, please?
Please, city staff.
Now, is this 17 or 19?
You want to take them both up at the same time? 17.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, 17. Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah. I just had one question and hopefully just a friendly amendment. I really appreciate all the work that you've done analyzing this, and I had no idea it was that much, how complicated it was. But one of the thoughts I had is that being that the research reflects that you'd have equal mandate to do this for both the Russian and the Persian community as to why we didn't recommend those to be added.
Very good. June Legme from the City Clerk's Office. The report was prepared specifically in response to the Krikorian, Wesson, and Garcetti motion addressing Armenian, and the addition of Armenian as a non-federally mandated language. To remind the council members, the feds do require us to translate in now 8 languages. However, they are silent on Armenian and some of the other languages which are spoken in the Los Angeles area. So our report did address the request of investigating the usage of Armenian in the LA community, and we did discover that there are significant numbers of Persian and Russian speakers as well. And this phenomenon is also practiced by some of our companion jurisdictions like Glendale and Burbank. They are not under federal mandate, but they have voluntarily added those languages as a service to their community. So the bottom line of our report is that the addition of any non-federally mandated language is a policy decision of the council. The report asked specifically on adding Armenian, so we presented a range of election services which the council could choose and a pertinent cost for each. But we were quite upfront in our report in saying that there are other communities which could benefit from this kind of language assistance, and that if it was the will of the council, that could be considered possibly not for 2013 but for 2015, and we could include those, if directed, in our budget request for municipal budget year 2015.
Okay, thank you. Because one of the things in reading it appears that once people become aware of it, you're going to have these other communities that would be asking. And so I'd make a motion that we add the Russian language and Farsi as part of the 2015 elections as we're recommending for Armenian.
I'm happy to accept that as friendly, Mr. Wesson.
Okay, Mr. Krikorian. All right, Mr. Garcetti.
Thank you. I just want to thank Mr. Krikorian and say thank you for including me on this as well. I think this is as somebody who represents Little Armenia, and actually when I first ran, I remember the campaigning that we do, we started reaching out. We cut lists to reach out to Armenians, and you know, some Armenians who are in the Little Armenia area speak both Armenian and Russian, so you actually cover a lot of the Russian speakers in the city of LA, in the Hollywood area with Armenian. But these were folks that if you called in English and said, hey, are you going to vote? Yes, 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 yes. If you followed up with somebody who spoke Armenian, they had no idea what that interaction was. And so as we started calling people and actually speaking in Armenian, we, I think, turned out about 2,000 people who had never voted before simply by using the language. And the importance of doing that across the board, I think Los Angeles has had a long, proud tradition of doing that. The Armenian population is either second only to Yerevan or third to Yerevan and Moscow here, as we well know, and it's one of the cornerstone communities, and one that is linguistically for a certain generation, as it was for Spanish-speaking and is for Spanish-speaking immigrants, is kind of more monolithically or monolinguistically locked in there. So I think this will be really great for expanding our involvement and our participation in our city elections. So I stand in full support of that, and I want to thank the City Clerk's Office for including.
Mr. Krikorian.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, some of the
great policy debates that have happened in the history of this country that have helped shape who we are as a nation have revolved around expanding the voting franchise and bringing more people into our electoral democracy, whether it was passage of the 15th Amendment following the Civil War to give African American men the right to vote, then moving on into this century and expanding the vote to include women, and then moving on into the 1960s and the Civil Rights Movement and making those rights real by getting rid of literacy tests and poll taxes and things like that that had been used to obstruct the right to vote. More recently, it's been through the Voting Rights Act and other measures to make the franchise more readily accessible to those who have immigrated to this country and helped to shape the great diversity of this country and may not be fully conversant or fully fluent in English and more comfortable speaking in their own language. And of course that issue is more prominent in Los Angeles than anywhere else perhaps in the world. We're a city with the greatest diversity in this country. There are 92 languages spoken by the parents of LAUSD students at home, 92 different languages. Of those, in Los Angeles, the third most commonly spoken language by those who are not perfectly fluent in English is Armenian, after only Spanish and Korean. And yet this is not one of those languages that is federally mandated under the Voting Rights Act. In fact, there are 6 other federally mandated languages that are spoken by fewer people in Los Angeles than speak Armenian here, and yet we are mandated to provide ballot materials and accessibility in those languages and not in Armenian. So I think that it's perfectly appropriate and important as we continue to make electoral democracy more readily accessible to our residents to take this logical step. This is a modest step. All we're asking for today is actually not preparing ballot materials, but doing outreach and poll worker recruitment to make our polling places a more welcome place to people who speak Armenian, and with Mr. Park's amendment, which I welcome, also Farsi and Russian. I think those are very important steps for this council to take, and hopefully, if we take this initial step now, we can continue to work towards the 2015 election, working with the County of Los Angeles, which already provides many of these ballot materials, with the City of Burbank, with the City of Glendale, and others that are already doing these sorts of non-mandated languages. We can work with them in order to find cost efficiencies and a strategic approach that will make this most effective. So with that, I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. And we do have a card on that item. I do not believe that he's here, but I'd like to call for Matt Dowd. I do not see Mr. Dowd. So with that said, Madam Clerk, we should prepare to vote. Please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Mr. Clerk, that brings us to item 19. Forthwith, on item 19, I have a card from Matt Dowd and Mr. Daniel Garcia. Mr. Garcia, if you would please come forward to the microphone.
City Council, I want to ask you a favor. Does this make you all? And you will be supporting it if you provide an ordinance or an additional amendment to the MSUR, and if he will be in the MSUR is supposed to have a better sidewalk for people with disability. If you can do that as a MSUR, inside an MSUR, and you can build a better sidewalk and also fix the sidewalk of every single station in the area, then that would be a good element of the MSUR to implement. I think that's workable, and I think it's very functional. If you and it's also going to be promoting an area of opportunity for people with disability to travel along the way. Also, if I may ask the city council to make sure that the area of improvements in the district area of Reyes and Jose Luisa would be a great help. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Perry.
Thank you, Mr. President. Would you ask Maria, oh, there she is, Maria Souza Roundtree. Wanted to ask you a couple of quick questions. Obviously, this has the potential for job creation and infrastructure improvements, and this will go before the voters, and so they'll have an opportunity to approve this additional measure. And the one concern that I did have about this bill is if you could tell me the history on this, why it doesn't have specified years.
It was, again, Maria Souza Roundtree with the CLA. The MTA sponsored the bill with Assemblymember Fuhr, and their concept, again, was to expedite the projects that were already identified in the original Measure R. They wanted as much flexibility as possible to bond against the future revenues of the additional years, so they felt it gave them the most flexibility to just extend it. So if it's passed, it would be up to the voters then again to put some kind of deadline on that in the future if they felt the need to do so.
So then it has to go back to the voters again.
Yes.
And again. So basically they leave the door open?
Yes, and it's similar to Prop A and Prop C. Those also had indefinite time frames.
So are you referring to those Prop A and Prop C as legislative precedent for this type of a framework?
Yes.
Okay. And the language that is in the proposed ordinance itself, this language that assures that it goes back to the voters is the tax may be imposed only if the proposing ordinance is approved by 2/3 of the voters in the manner as otherwise required by law. So what that means is if there is a change, that automatically triggers sending this to the voters. Is that correct?
Well, this legislation only authorizes MTA to put the measure on the ballot, which they plan to do in November. So that's what that language is referencing.
Okay. Thank you very much. That answers my questions.
Mr. Parks.
Thank you. I just had a couple of questions. In dealing with this, and certainly I was supportive of the first time we went Measure R, but this seems to be taking us down another path. It appears on the legislation it didn't have a capping date, but MTA recently added one. So what is the defining issue on
MTA talked about having a 30-year extension and capping it for an additional 30 years, but I looked at the legislation and it's still a permanent extension.
It's a permanent, because something in, I think MTA showed 2069 or something. Is that
Yes.
that's what their plan is?
And that's what they're planning, I believe, when you look at some of the materials that they've issued, the amount of money they plan to bond against would take them out to 2069. So new funding for new projects would not be available until about 2069.
And then explain to me why we wouldn't be able to bond against the existing 30 years.
There's not enough funding there available to expedite the projects as quickly as they would like to.
And then when we expedite them, we're talking about the same list of projects that were originally approved in Measure R?
Yes.
Okay, and then how do we pay back the additional bonded indebtedness?
That's part of the additional money over the next 30 years.
So the issue is that we're paying for the acceleration and the debt. Are we getting new projects?
No.
Okay. And then is the new Measure R going to create the same amount of revenue as the original Measure R? Is it the
Based
same
on their
amount?
projections, a little bit more, because we hope the economy does improve, and as much as the projections would
So
show.
the key is getting the jobs done quicker, but no new projects, and then pay the debt.
Yeah, and no new projects, I'm talking, no new projects until after 2069.
2069.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the other thing is that And then what's the process if there are new projects? How does that work? Is that all MTA?
That would have to go through MTA, yes, the board.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Koretz.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't know if you have any questions. I just want to say this is a great opportunity for us to accelerate the building of our infrastructure, critical transportation programs, and also to create jobs now when we need it. Measure R will allow us to accelerate transit and highway projects and ensure that that vital infrastructure is in place for the future, and at the same time put people to work today. There's broad support for this, everyone from the Chamber of Commerce and the LA Business Council to the Building and Construction Trades and AFL-CIO, and I ask for your aye vote.
Mr. Huizar.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to echo again what Mr. Koretz mentioned. And at the MTA board, it seems like most of the board members were in support of moving forward with this framework. The only issue was the sunset clause, and that was really what took up the majority of the discussion. But at the end of the day, we did agree to move forward and allow the voters to decide on this matter and be as transparent and clear about what we're actually doing, which at the end of the day, when people recognize that we could, using the same money, build projects quicker and bring jobs now in this up and down of the economy, in this cycle of the economy, it makes total sense to do this now. So I ask for your aye vote on this. Thank you.
Okay, no speakers in the queue, or no more speakers in the queue. So, Madam Clerk, let's prepare to vote. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes, 2 noes.
Okay, Mr. City Attorney and Mr. Clerk, you're going to freak out because I just put another item on the agenda led by Mr. Garcetti and Mr. Buscaino. It is time. And for those of you that thought that Mr. Garcetti ran away, he did not. He was here. And this is why I was searching for him.
Here we go. Mr. Zahn, Dennis, Philip, this is for you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Everyone.
Happy birthday, dear Dennis. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday.
He's 72 years old today, Dennis Zahn.
Wow.
Well, you 39 and holding, same age as I, right? Okay. Anyway, congratulations. Happy birthday. Mr. Clerk, what...
Council has motions for posting and referral.
No, we're not going to ask for Zion to give a speech. That we're not. Consider them posted and referred.
The desk is clear.
Okay. Announcements, members? Okay, could we rise for adjourning motions? Could everybody in the council chambers, everyone please rise? Mr. Buscaino.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, today I ask that we adjourn in memory of John Bogart, a longtime columnist with the Daily Breeze, who passed away Sunday, July 29th. John charmed, entertained, and enlightened Daily Breeze readers with his columns for 28 years. Born October 7th, 1948 in Utica, New York, John grew up in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where he got his first start in journalism when a young reporter hired him to call in results from the University of Florida track meets. John Bogart developed his own newspaper while in college and took a trip to Europe when he graduated. On the boat ride home, he met a woman who would become his wife. They'd have 3 children, Caitlin, Rachel, and Ian. After his wife got a job in Los Angeles, John landed a position at the Glendale News Press and made journalism a full-time career. The Daily Breeze hired him as a feature reporter in 1979. By the end of his life, John would become the voice of the South Bay, writing some 6,500 columns about everything from politics to guns, to his family's history, his eldest daughter's wedding, and ultimately his cancer. In fact, my communications director, Branimir Kovartuk, worked with John for 6 years and had some great memories to share with us this morning. In John Bogart's last column, published about a month ago, John writes, The real shame here, if you want to call it that, isn't the passing. The real shame is not really knowing how to end this sweetly after so many years of chasing down words. The real shame is finding myself so helpless in the face of goodbye. John is survived by his loving wife, 2 daughters, 1 son, and his granddaughter, who is on the way, Charlotte, and many, many colleagues and readers who he influenced and inspired. May he rest in peace.
Mr. Zine.
Thank you. This lady who I knew personally, visited her just last week, and she passed away July 31st at 8:10 in the morning. Ruth Richter. She was from Winnetka, a businesswoman. For over 60 years, owned and operated West Valley Cycle Sales in Winnetka, a former member of the board of the Rapid Transit District, the MTA. Born November 22nd, 1922 in Harvey, Illinois. Married Jay in 1942. They were married for 70 years. In 1950, Jay and Ruth moved to Winnetka, started her career as a real estate agent in the West San Fernando Valley. Shortly thereafter, Jay and Ruth founded the West Valley Cycle Sales in Winnetka. Ruth was an active volunteer, served as president and board member of the Winnetka Chamber of Commerce, was active in the Winnetka Neighborhood Council, Valley Traffic Advisory Council, and a great supporter of the Los Angeles Police Department. She still has the blue ribbon, big symbol on the front of the business on Saticoy in Winnetka. Committed her time and money to numerous charitable endeavors which have impacted many San Fernando Valley groups. The Committee of Winnetka has lost a giving soul, an amazing individual. She will be truly missed. Survived by her husband, Jay, daughters, Lori, Ruth, son-in-law, Don, and grandson, Jay. And when I visited with her at the rest home, she was in one bed and Jay was in the other bed, and they're both they were in their last days of life, both suffering from cancer, and just wonderful people who gave so much to the community of the San Fernando Valley for so many years. So we're able to share some time together, and her daughter was there, and her daughter's husband was there, who's also has a very serious illness. But the family has been legendary in the San Fernando Valley for so many years. And it was interesting when I went to visit, the people at the rest home said that when all the officers came in, they thought it was a raid. They thought it was a raid because all the officers from LAPD that used to go to the motorcycle shop and used to visit, the employees were scattering, thinking that they were being raided by the police department. That's how many officers went in to visit. So may she rest in peace, a wonderful, wonderful representative, Ruth Richter. May she rest in peace.
Ms. Perry.
I'd like to adjourn in memory of Donald Pittman. Duck, as he was affectionately known, was born in Ashburn, Georgia, and was a graduate of the University of Southern California. For many years, he worked at the Los Angeles Unified School District as a special education teacher at the Los Angeles Academy Middle School. For the last 5 years, he was a member of the Schur Foundation Christian Fellowship. He was a devoted member of the faith community and spent much of his time with the Avenue Christian Love Baptist Church, hosting a Wednesday evening gospel program with his wife, Deborah. He is survived by his wife, Deborah Bradley Pittman, 4 children, 8 brothers and sisters, 3 grandchildren, 9 nieces, 7 nephews and great-nephews, and a host of cousins and friends. He will be sincerely missed.
Mr. Koretz.
Thank you, Mr. President. A couple of days ago, we lost one of the greats of the golden age of entertainment in the first half of the 20th century. Tony Martin was a tremendous star of movies and was also a leading maker of music. He passed away at his West Side home at the age of 98, having made his mark as a romantic singer with many big hits. He was considered to be the ultimate crooner and had countless fans in his day. He was featured in 25 movies made during the heyday of Hollywood musicals and co-starred with many of Hollywood's most legendary figures. He also was married to 2 stars, first Alice Faye and then Sid Charisse, the latter marriage lasting 60 years until she passed away in 2008. He is survived by his stepson, Nico Charisse.
Any more adjourning motions? Members, this meeting is adjourned.